Okay, hello everyone. So this video is going to be a little bit different. So based on the title, you can tell that this is a collection video for Twice. So in the past I've done a few album ranking videos, which I like doing those, but also they take up so much time to think about, and I also only really like doing them if I have a group's full discography. And there's just a lot of things that kind of hold me back from making them. So I decided to do something a little different and just do a collection video. And I think this might be what I do going forward because I just kind of want to discuss the group. And I mean, album rankings are a really good way to do that, but also in this context, I just kind of get to do a little bit more discussion, I guess. I don't know. But with that said, yeah, I'm going to be starting with Twice because they're just a group I've been really wanting to talk about lately. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. So I'm gonna go in order of release. So the first album I have is The Story Begins. So yeah, so their first release, obviously first mini album. So I first got into Twice a couple months after their debut. So they debuted in October and I got into them in around December. I remember it being Christmas time when I was watching 16. So yeah, what made me love this album so much is that this album is just really good. Track list isn't on the back. Yeah, like I said, this album is really good. This album in particular is really nostalgic for me, and it was probably my favorite Twice album up until recently. Overall, I feel like this is just a really good album. Like Ooh Ah is probably one of my favorite debut songs of all time. I just think it's so good, and every single one of the B-sides is literal gold. I liked that they took some of the songs from 16 and re-recorded them and whatnot. These songs are just so good and fun, and it's really hard to choose a favorite, but I think Do It Again and Truth are maybe my favorites. I don't know, like I said, overall this album is just so fun and good. So the next album obviously is Page 2. Both of the ones I have are the ones with the limited cover, and I always thought it was really cool that I was able to get the ones with the limited covers because you don't see them that much these days, but I did buy these around release time, so I mean, of course I was able to get them, thankfully. This comeback is really kind of iconic though because first of all, Cheer Up is a whole bop. It's so good, but this was my first comeback with Twice, so it was really fun for me in that my CD's out of place, but it was really fun for me in that this was the first ever girl group comeback I had followed, so it was something really new for me back then. So and I really loved Cheer Up. I would watch every single one of their performances every day, and I just couldn't get enough of this song, and I thought this was a cute concept. I really like this concept in particular. That's a bit different. But this album, I feel like I don't give it enough love. This album isn't bad at all, but I feel like I don't talk about it nearly enough. And there's a track list on the back. But yeah, so I really enjoy listening to this album, and it's whenever I actually listen to the whole thing that I actually realize how much I really like it. So these aren't Twice's best songs by any means, but I don't know if this version is any different, but we can go through this while I talk about the album. But these songs are so fun, and a lot of times Twice's B-sides aren't my favorite thing in the world, so it's yeah, these ones are really good, and it's a shame I don't take as much notice to it because yeah, they're generally really good. And track number 2 is really good. Touchdown, I mean, that's a fun song. I can't lie about it. And Woohoo is a really fun song too. Yeah, so there's the rest of that photo book. But yeah, I feel like this is an era I'm not ever really gonna forget because of how fun it was for me. I have those specific eras for certain groups that will always be really nostalgic for me. And this one is one that is included there. So the next album is, of course, Twice Coaster Lane 1, and again, this is another one of those kind of eras that I'm just really nostalgic for, because this era was just really fun. A lot of Twice's earlier title tracks are like some of the most iconic songs for me, and they're just so good. CD plates aren't in here. I think I have Dahyun and Chaeyoung for them. But this was the first time they did CD plates, so that was really fun. But yeah, TT is really iconic. This album, I mean, it's good, but also it wasn't one I really went back to a lot. I listened to it a good amount when it first came out, but like these days I don't even really think to go back to it that much. Like I think the songs here are really cute, so like 1 to 10 is really good too. Jelly Jelly, you know, and I think Ponytail are really the ones that I think are best. 1 in a Million is a really good song too. It's just not like super great. But like I said, when this album first came out, I was really into it, but over time it kind of lost the, like it didn't age super well, if that makes sense. And then here's the other version. They were really consistent with 2 versions back in the day, which I wish they'd still do the 2 versions. But I also remember really loving the concept back when this was a thing. Especially with the other photo book, I just thought it was really pretty, and these outside shots I thought were really pretty as well. These photos are really cute, so yeah. But I think this was also the era that they announced their official colors, because yeah, the albums are based off their colors. And I did used to have the Christmas edition of this album, but I did sell it because I kind of downsized my Twice collection a little bit, not a whole lot, but I cut down on like the albums I felt like I didn't really need, so like the Christmas edition was one of those albums. So next is Twice Coaster Lane 2. I think this is the first Twice like title track I wasn't really into. So back in the day I thought the concept was super cute. These days I don't love it. I mean, I think the girls look cute, but I think the colors just aren't really great. I guess in this version specifically, but I would say Knock Knock was not really my favorite. And it took me a little while to kind of admit that, because I was like sure that I was gonna love every single thing that Twice put out, but that wasn't really the case. There's this version. This lyrics book is way too thick to like stay in the photo book, but I think this like color scheme, at least I guess for the first half of this photo book, I think I like better. The orange and the yellow is just kind of too harsh. But even though I don't like Knock Knock that much, I think the B-side they added on this album is so good. It's one of my favorite like Twice B-sides in general. Like I think it's called like Melting or something like that, but it's like this sweet little ballad, and it's just so good. Like if there's one thing I'm thankful for from this release, it's that song. It's like one of the few Twice ballads I really like. They don't do great with ballads, but I think that one is so good. So the next album is of course Signal. I did used to have the 3rd version of this album, but I did sell it because like I said, when I was downsizing, I didn't feel like I really needed to keep it because it had the same photo book as one of these, and I was like, I don't really need it, the cover's just different, so yeah. But here's this one. CD plates aren't in this one either. I don't remember who I have, but anyways, I don't think I like Signal. Yeah, I really don't. And when this album, I mean, this concept is super cute, I think. Like, I think the girls look super cute in this concept. This album and Signal itself, it just isn't that great. When this album first came out, I thought it was really good upon first listen, but it was never something I ever really went back to a whole bunch. So yeah, but I think this was the first time that this album was the first time they had members participate in like writing and stuff. So I think Jihyo and Chaeyoung had some writing credits, so that's really fun. But here's the other version. But yeah, I like this photo book a lot more than I like the other one because I'm a sucker for anything pink. So yeah. But yeah, so I think 3 Times a Day is a pretty good song from this album. And I do think Someone Like Me is pretty good. There's this ad. Oh, there's 2 of them. But like overall, this album, I guess, it was just super underwhelming for me. So, yeah. And I think this was around, let me see, when was this released? So this was released in May of 2017. And so this was the era that I actually saw them live for the first time. So that's really fun. I guess that's a fond memory I have attached to this era. So I saw them at KCON in 2017, which was in June of that year. So yeah, that feels like forever ago, but I always kind of forget I saw them. That was really exciting for me, seeing them live this era, because I had liked them for like 2 years at that point. So yeah, that was really fun for me. So the next album is Twicegram. So I just have this one version because this was the second time they did 3 versions, and they did the whole thing with the photo book being different members. So and I also didn't buy this album new. I bought it secondhand on eBay with all of Jihyo's things, so I could just get that out of the way. And I was gonna eventually go back and, you know, finish out all the albums for this, but I just never really got around to it, just because I did have everything I kind of wanted or needed from this album, like concerning my collection. Like concerning the album, I really, really love the concept here, and I think Likey is like one of my favorite Twice songs. Take a look at the track list if you can see it. But overall, this album, like, I think it's good, but it was never my favorite, so that's like one of the reasons I never really went back and bought the other versions. But I mean, like, if I listen to this album now, it's not that I think it's bad, it's just like the songs don't stick with me as much. I think Look at Me is a pretty good song, and I think Love Line is a really good song too. I think that's probably one of my favorites from the album. You know, Ding Dong is pretty good. 24/7 is definitely a good one, and I don't think Turtle is that bad, but this album overall isn't very, I guess, cohesive and listenable like the whole way through, if that makes sense. Yeah, that was overall why I only really have one version of this album. And like, I've always been kind of a completionist in quotes with my collection. Back then it kind of said a lot that I wasn't buying more than just the one version. So yeah, moving on. And then next, this is Married Happy. So this is their repackage of Twicegram. And so I only have the one version. I did have both, and they were actually given to me for free, but I gave the other version to my sister, just because she likes Heartshaker and she likes Twice. Yeah, so I didn't keep both just because, again, when I was downsizing, I just figured, like, I just didn't need both versions, especially because I got both of these albums for free. They were given to me because of something to do with something I bought going wrong, so they were just given to me because of that. But yeah, I just didn't necessarily feel like I needed it, and I mean, Heartshaker is really good, but I also don't love Christmas stuff, so like, Merry and Happy isn't like my favorite song in the world. So and also, like I was talking about with Twicegram, since this is a repackage, I wasn't totally in love with that album, so I just have the one. But I think the concept in this one is cute. It's the reason why I kept this version instead of the other one. But yeah, and I also really like pink, so pink is like my favorite color, and if there's a pink concept or a pink album, I'm more likely to keep that than something that's like green. Anyways, so next is What Is Love. So I have both versions here. So for a while, so I guess basically from Signal era to like Heartshaker era, I had a little bit of a disconnect with Twice, just because I wasn't feeling their music as much, and so I wasn't feeling as motivated to buy their albums. But once this album came out, it kind of was a lot different in that sense, and that was kind of a gradual thing too. So like, I got back into Twice with this album really, really gradually. So like, What Is Love came out, and I wasn't like super into it. I liked it, but it wasn't like my favorite thing ever, you know, but eventually it really, really grew on me, and I ended up really, really, really loving it, and I just listened to it a lot after it came out. And then also, it was the same thing with the whole album. Like, I just really gradually got into the whole thing, and like, all the songs on this album are really fun. So yeah, I just remember being at work over the summer, I think last summer, or no, I guess technically 2 summers ago, and I would just listen to this album all the time. So, and I think one of my favorite songs is Ho. That song is so good. And it's really fun. I really like seeing especially the writing credits from Jihyo on that song. Deja Vu is also really good. I can't remember what Sweet Talker sounds like off the top of my head, but like I know I liked it. I think making this video is probably going to encourage me to go back and listen to Twice's like entire discography. But yeah. Overall, this is a really, really good album and one I really love a lot. So next is Summer Nights. So this album is really what did it for me. So this is what really, really got me back into Twice after What Is Love. So for a while, I figured I was going to stop collecting all versions of their albums, but this kind of changed my mind on that. So yeah, and it also really changed my mind on collecting all of Jihyo's Photocards. So yeah, I really apparently liked the idea of the whole however many photocards per album, but yeah, so I really loved this concept because I'm a real sucker for summer concepts. I don't know what this is. But like if they're done right, I really, really love them. And yeah, so these are really cute photos. But with the new songs on this album, I really loved them a lot. So I really liked Dance the Night Away, of course. That song is so fun, so good. But the other 2 B-sides that they added were really good too. I think this is version C. Yeah, so Chillax is so good. I think like they just picked songs really well for this repackage. Like they just picked really good summer songs for this repackage, so I think that was really great. So like Shot Through the Heart is really good too. So like overall, all the songs that were picked for the new songs for this album are really, really good. So yeah. And then next is Yes or Yes. So I only have this one version, and that is because I don't like this album. And I haven't listened to this album in a while, so I might have to go back and see how I feel about it. But I do want to go back and get the other 2 versions of this I don't have, simply because I want to collect Jihyo's cards from this album. But like for real, this entire album did not connect with me at all. I really, really love this concept, and I really love the entire kind of concept they went for the whole release. But like the songs just did not do it for me. I thought the album would be pretty good, but it was just kind of really boring and didn't really leave much of a impression on me. So that was really, really disappointing, especially after loving their past few releases so much. Yeah, so this kind of made me doubt Twice a little bit again, so that was really unfortunate. But like I said, I think I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this album because I know I don't hate After Moon. I think that's a good song, and it's one they played when I saw them live just this summer. And Yes or Yes, I mean, it's a good song, but it's not like my favorite Twice title track ever. If I were to rank them, it'd probably be pretty low. I didn't even buy the repackage of this album, which is the Year of Yes, and I maybe plan to get that if I can like have someone get it for me as a Christmas gift or something like that, just because the songs they added for that repackage just were so not it, and I could not connect with them at all in the slightest. So that was really, really disappointing for me because I don't know, I think the concept for that repackage is also kind of cute. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, especially because of the time it came out, but like I just wasn't into it, and it was really disappointing again. So next I have Fancy. So at this point in filming this video, I don't feel like going through the photo books, so yeah, sorry about that. I'm sure you've seen them before, but first of all, Fancy is probably one of the best songs of this year, 2019. It is really high up there. This release is like immaculate almost, like it's just so good. This was the first album I really, really loved from Twice in a long time, so this made me get really back into Twice, and it makes me so happy because like I've explained throughout this video, I've had an up and down kind of relationship with Twice, so I mean, it's really interesting, but like it just made me love them so much more. And like Fancy is so fun, so good, exactly the type of thing and song they needed. Twice really needed to kind of mature in their sound, and it hadn't felt like they'd really done that in a long time, and with this song it really felt like they had come back with something different, but also something so Twice and something that fits them so well. And it was so great because the concept was just so pretty, and it just seemed like everything for this release was right and how it should have been. So that was really, really great. And yeah, so this album is overall is really good. So like Stuck in My Head is really fun. Girls Like Us, which was lyrics were written by Jihyo, has interesting credits from Charlie XCX. So it's cool that Twice also kind of works with Western artists a bit, because they have Kim Petras credited on their Yes or Yes album, so I think that's really cool. And they have Hot, which is so fun. Turn It Up and Strawberry. I think Strawberry was probably one of my least favorite songs on this album until I saw them perform it live. There was something about their performance at Twice Lights. I went to Twice Lights in Chicago this past July, and it was so much fun, but Strawberry in particular is a really memorable stage for me because the outfits and like the background on the screens, it was just like everything turned red and everything was really pretty, and the performance overall was just really, really memorable and really cool. And yeah, I mean, back then it wouldn't have been like my B-side of choice for them to perform, but it's like I'm so happy they did, because just like the design of everything that went into that performance is really memorable and really great, and I love it. So yeah, I have like nothing but good things to say about this album and this release. So okay, so last but not least, we have Feel Special. So you just recently saw these in my October haul, so these are new to me. But when I say that this album is pure perfection, I'm being 100% truthful. I think this album is Twice's best album to date. Like, I said that The Story Begins was my favorite album for a long time. It was my favorite album up until this album was released, and this album is a whole nother level. It's so insane how good it is. I really love Feel Special. I think they took the sound with Fancy and kind of went with it a little bit. It's still the same kind of style, which I think is really great. I think it suits them really well. Feel Special isn't necessarily as like catchy as Fancy You, but it's still so good. I think the meaning of that song is great. I think just the entire song, everything about it, so good. And Rainbow, I didn't think this was one of my favorite title tracks at first, but I've been listening to Rainbow a lot lately. I think that song is so good. It's so fun. Get Loud is also really good. Trick It is another one of my favorites. And Love Foolish, this was my favorite B-side from them at first on this album. I think my favorite is probably Rainbow, but Love Foolish was like my instant favorite. I think this is so good. It's not a song you would necessarily expect Twice to release. It's such a different style than anything you'd expect from them, and I think that's so cool. And I think that's kind of the case with this entire album, but Love Foolish is just kind of so out there for them that you wouldn't really expect it. The only song I'm not really too into is 2129. I don't think that song is necessarily bad. It's just, is one I skip, honestly. Twice's like slower ballady songs aren't like the best thing in the world, so it's not like I wasn't expecting that, but I think even the Korean version of Breakthrough is pretty good. I tried to listen, like, I'm not really into Twice's Japanese stuff. I've just never really looked into it much, but I did try listening to Happy and Breakthrough or was it Happy and Breakthrough when it first came out, but it was like so not my thing. And I know a lot of people liked Breakthrough, but it just wasn't my thing for some reason. And listening to the Korean version, I think I like it a bit more, not necessarily because it's in Korean, but because I kind of got a bit more of a chance to digest it a bit. Overall, I think this album is great. Everything about it. I really love the styling. It's really pretty. I love it. Okay, yeah, so that was basically everything I had to say. I will mention they do have Japanese albums, obviously, like I was just talking about, but I've been kind of on and off about wanting to collect their Japanese stuff because I want to kind of do it, but it's also not a priority in the slightest. Like, I'd love to get one version of like their full albums or something like that, because they have the BDZ album and they also have another one coming out soon in Japan. So I think maybe I could, but it's not really something I feel like I need to do. But yeah, so I think I'll actually go through my photo card collection for Twice really quick, just so I can talk about that. Okay, so here's my Twice section. So I've redone this a lot. I've been back and forth a lot, especially over the past year, about how I want to collect Jihyo's cards. So yeah, it's a bit different. So this first page I have here is The Story Begins in page 2. And I have all of the unit cards for The Story Begins. The last one is on the back here. And I do have 2 of her tie cards. These were something I was really wanting to collect back in the day, but not at all really anymore. I don't know if they still even release tie versions of their albums. At least I haven't seen it in a while. But I stopped at Twice Coaster Lane 2. So this is Twice Coaster Lane 1 and 2. And then, yeah, so these are cards from Twice Land or something like that. It was a concert. And I just kind of kept them because they fit there. I was trying to sell them at one point, but yeah. But, I mean, it fills up this page really nicely, so I have up through Twice-tagram. Then I have Her Merry and Happy. So with What Is Love is where they started to do the, like, 9 or 10 cards per member, whatever. And so there was a point where I had 9 of these, but I sold some of them and decided I'd just keep the ones I liked the most. And I'm happy with just keeping these 6 What Is Love cards, but I had the same thing with Summer Nights. So I had this collection complete, and then I had gotten rid of a few of them, and I just recently decided to, like, get them back, which I knew this would happen back when I tried to, like, cut down my Jihyo collection a bit, but I think it's fine just because Twice cards aren't really hard to get your hands on. So yeah. And then moving on, we have Yes or Yes, which I was not going to collect this album really just because I had only gotten the 1 album, and I had the 3 cards I wanted, and I was planning on just doing 3 cards per release, and I mean, that didn't stick, obviously, but it's like, I figured I'd kind of try it. And we have my fancy page with it. This is actually complete for me, so that's really fun. I love these cards a whole lot. And then we have my Feel Special page, so this is almost complete. I just have a few more cards I need to get, and I also plan to collect full group for this set right here, because I think this set's really cute. And I've never really tried my hand at collecting a full set for Twice before, so yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. And then I just have some of Jihyo's pre-order cards, so I don't have all of them because it got to a point where I was not pre-ordering Twice, and that kind of sucks because I would like to have her pre-order cards. I was collecting full sets, but I just don't feel like having so many cards in my binder, so I'm not keeping them. But I mean, I don't know. People like to sell these for a lot of, like, I guess not a lot of money, but like for more than they're worth, for sure. And then here's some bigger things. Here is some fancy lenticulars. I would actually really like to trade one of these for Jihyo, if anyone's interested, but I'm going to keep the other 2. And I decided to keep this set for Feel Special just because I really, really like it. I'm not going to keep the other one I have just because I can't do it. And yeah, here's some extra things. I don't collect concert stuff really at all, but I decided to keep those just because. And I wanted to keep the Once Begins set for sure because I really love that they did this throwback to debut era, so yeah. And then there's just some postcards. So yeah, that was my Jihyo collection. My Jihyo collection has been probably, I guess, overall it's one of my favorites. It's definitely my biggest girl group collection. It's actually always been pretty fun collecting Jihyo, especially ever since What Is Love, just because trading is generally pretty easy. It's not the hardest thing ever, so yes. Okay, and I know this video is dragging on a bit, but I want to show you my CD plates because I guess just my full Twice collection I'm showing you. So so I have Taeyong and Dahyun for Twice Coaster, Lane 1, and then Jihyo and Mina for Signal, Jihyo for Twice-tagram, Momo, Jihyo Jungyeon, Jihyo Nayeon, Sana, Jihyo, and 2 Dahyuns, which if anyone wants to trade, I wouldn't like hate that. I don't like having 2 of the same. And then I have Nayeon and Chaeyoung and Jui for Feel Special. So yeah, I feel like I have a good variety for CD plates. Let me see if I have one for each member. I think I do have one for each member. I have Nayeon, Jungyeon, Momo, Sana, Mina, Jihyo, Dahyun, Chaeyoung, and Jui. Yeah, so that's really cool. I didn't realize that until now, so yeah, that's nice. Anyways, yeah, that was my entire Twice collection. I hope you enjoyed this. If not, and if you hated hearing me talk, that's fine. I don't care, but yeah, I just felt like talking about Twice, so I figured I'd make this video. But yeah, I think that was everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.